Good morning. The old man here, November 3rd, 2025. Coming off of a really busy weekend. Had a lot of things to tidy up after work on Saturday. Excuse me. And Sunday, kind of getting ready for the fall and winter. And then Saturday or Sunday, had a CPL class of which took up 8 hours of my day. No real time to do a video, although I did have time to do more research, which is actually really good. It starts to put more things into perspective. Today, basically, want to give you, at least for the U.S., a bit of a history lesson. And honestly, I think it's very important. I know most people in history class would have fallen asleep. All the stats were boring. Actually, most of it that we were taught, mostly lies probably. Remember, the victor writes the history books, and the truth is according to the victor. And so interesting to know what the real truth on a lot of history is. But honestly, in school, they never talk about the history of money. So kind of want to talk about it today. The main reason for that is I think we're just destined to make the same mistake if we don't learn from history. And I don't think most of us knew this. I'm a big history buff, and I never knew anything about the money or the Coinage Act of 1792. And this, from 1776, when we declared our independence, excuse me, to 1792, we used many different currencies from across the world. It was a hodgepodge of currencies, no real standards, from gold coins to silver coins to even paper money. From city to city, things were priced differently. It was really a mess, if you will. There was no consistency across the country. And limited as the country was, there was no stability, if you will, no consistency. Alexander Hamilton wrote the Coinage Act of 1792, of which put a standard weights and measures on our coins. A gold coin weighed so much and a silver coin weighed so much. That was standard. In fact, they took this so seriously because they did not want these citizens to be robbed of their wealth, that they made it punishable by death if you counterfeited a U.S. coin, and or let's say you were shaving coins to take away some of the metal, melt it down, and do something else with it. So they were very serious about it. Also keep in mind, through this act, the gold to silver ratio was set at a ratio of 1 to 16. And this was a bi-metallic system, and the most important part, and I did not understand this till recently, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. The most important part to know about this is the individual citizen typically had silver, not gold. Typically, there was exceptions, but typically had silver, and he could pay his taxes in silver. He did not have to convert to gold to pay his taxes. He could pay taxes and any debt to the bankers, let's say, taxes to the government, and debt to the banks with silver. This worked very well for nearly 100 years until you come to the era of the railroads, where the railroads, much like NVIDIA, was being really pumped to the moon that this was going to be a game changer, and it was a game changer. But the problem is speculators got in, and even retail, if you will, or the general citizen FOMO'd in. They didn't want to miss the move, and they bet the farms on the railroads, almost literally. They went way into that to bet on the farm, to bet on to the railroads. And at the end of the day, the tycoons and the banks of the time worked together to crash the market. And with that being said, the tycoons, the very large railroads survived, and the small railroads died. And with them, much of the citizens' money died with it. Many people lost everything because they bet the farm, if you will. Basically, probably where where that analogy come from of betting the farm, it's probably where it came from. And then with that, with that bust, shortly thereafter, if you will, the tycoons and the bankers of the time colluded together and come up with the Coinage Act of 1873. So let's just back up a little bit. We had stable prices, stable employment. Now there was busts and booms, but they weren't huge. Every 4 years, you have to have a business cycle where dumb ideas fail and you make room for new good ideas. That's normal. With that happening roughly every 4 years, believe it or not, the same cycle of the presidency, don't think that wasn't planned, because it was, to coincide with the business cycle. Those small booms and busts is what any economy needs, because there always will be dumb ideas that get financed, and those dumb ideas need to fail. And if you don't get in the way, if the government and bankers don't get in the way, they will fail. And they need to. It's a cleansing, if you will. But the tycoons and bankers were worried about, well, one, they were worried about keeping their wealth, and so they come up with the Coinage Act of 1873, where we went from a bi-metallic system to just a gold-backed system, or a gold metallic system instead of a bi-metallic system. With that being said, that doesn't sound like that big a deal, right? Well, it was. And the thing about that is, at that time, they changed it from being able to pay your taxes and debt with gold or silver to only be able to pay your taxes and debt in gold, which meant you had to convert your silver that the average citizen had. They had to convert their silver to gold in order to pay their taxes, and they had to pay. And one of the other things that the Coinage Act did is they also changed the gold to silver ratio to 15 to 1. So, no, originally, I had that backwards. Originally it was 15 to 1, and then it went to 16 to 1 in this 1873 Act. It took 16 ounces of silver to make an ounce of gold. So when you went to the bank to pay, let's say you had to go to the bank to convert your silver to gold so you could go over to the government and pay your taxes. So when you went to the bank, you had to convert 16 ounces of silver to get an ounce of gold in order to pay your taxes. And with that conversion rate, a lot of farmers were actually raising grain, and when they made that conversion, they went to sell their grain onto the market. They got paid in silver, and then when they went to pay their taxes and their debt, because they borrowed money from the bank in order to buy grain and fertilizers and what have you, so when they converted it, that 16 ounces to 1 ounce of gold, they were actually upside down. It cost them more to produce that grain than they were actually getting for the grain. so they couldn't afford their debt. And a lot of them, again, whoever didn't already lose in the bust was bankrupt by the banks and the tycoons. Well, eventually the banks got taken over, and even the tycoons didn't have a lot to say about it. In some ways, they did, because you got the Rockefellers and that had wealth, generational wealth that's still around today. So you could say the tycoons moved from, let's say, being in the oil business to being in the banking business, or maybe they had their feet in both aspects. So at the end of the day, it broke the farmers, the generals. It made the population poorer and poorer. It's not like they had a ton of money in the first place, but they instantly become very poor, and most lost a lot of, if not all, of what they've already worked for. Similar to what we're seeing today. Once we went on the fiat system, or well, the gold backed system, only gold, no silver, that was actually the 1873 Coinage Act, actually was the beginning of the end for the citizens of the United States. They took away our wealth. They give you the illusion of wealth, but actually, at the end of the day, you just keep borrowing more and more money to the point that you're upside down and you go bankrupt at the end of the day. That's all there is to it. You got 7-year loans on cars. Now they're talking about 40-year loans on houses. Well, one of the ways that they're doing it is with inflation. If your wages only go up 2% or 3% a year, and inflation is actually, and we all know the numbers are fugazi, right? Especially during the last administration, things were blown way out of proportion, but yet they were lied about. They lied about the GDP. They lied about employment status. They lied about definitely lied about inflation, and blah blah blah. So the average consumer, he gets a 2 or 3% raise, and he thinks he's doing okay, but at the end of the day, inflation was 7, 8, 9%. He actually lost purchasing power, much like the guy did, or the farmer did, when they changed the gold to silver ratio from 16 to 1 to 15 to 1, or excuse me, from 15 to 1 to 16 to 1. He lost a lot of purchasing power. Well, over the last 4 years, I mean, don't get me wrong, we've been losing purchasing power you know, since the central banks, are actually all the way back to the 1873 Coinage Acts. We've been losing purchasing power, and then eventually we went on to a fake fiat system. And when we got in 1913, we got the Federal Reserve. It's just another way of fleecing you. People totally don't understand the system at all, and they don't understand why it takes. You got to work more and more to get less and less. You just can't figure it out. They know something's wrong, but they don't know what it is. Well, this is it. And one of the reasons I bring this up today, and I was thinking about it over the weekend, a lot of people, a lot of YouTubers are talking about a gold standard. We need a gold standard. We need a gold standard. We need a gold standard. No, we don't need a gold standard. We need a bi-metallic standard. Because if we only have a gold standard, and the wealthy, the bankers that are running the world, have all the gold and we have silver, and they, through law, set, and they own the politicians, right? And they, through law, set the gold to silver ratio, no matter what it is, it's going to be in their favor, not yours. So at the end of the day, it's just another way to fleece you. Fake fiat currency is a way to fleece you. It's very complicated, and it's intended to be complicated, so it's hard to track. And the statisticians are the ones that are, they're giving you the figures, and they're all lies. And the old saying is, figures never lie, liars figure. And that's really where it comes from. They are lying to you on every aspect. In the past, they lied to you on small scale, very small scale, so you wouldn't notice. But as we're coming to the end of this fake fiat system, to cover it all up, they love the lies got to get bigger and bigger and bigger in order to cover up everything. Much like every time we have a crisis, they got to print more money, more lies to cover up the ills of a fake fiat system. They're doing it again. If you know they're ramping it up. At the end of the day, I believe what we're going to through Trump, and I could be wrong. You know, it's hard to say, but I believe what we're going through with Trump, and he's done so many things to prove this to me that we're going back to the Constitution. And if we go back to the Constitution and also back to the 1792 Coinage Act, that every coin we have real money in its coinage, and each coin is a certain measure. And you know, in today's world, because silver to gold ratio coming out of the ground is much different than it was 100 or even 250 years ago. It's so much different now that you know that gold to silver ratio might need to be more in the line of you know, 10 ounces to one or something like that. I don't know as if an actual free market system would work, because it would vary from town to town. And if you want consistency throughout the country and eventually throughout the world, that I think it's almost going to have to be set. Maybe that's above my pay grade, and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but that's the way I see it. That system of a 1 in 16 GSR bimetallic system where you could pay in gold or silver your debt or your taxes was an extremely not only fair way, but it was an extremely stable way over the years to be able to do commerce. And I think that could work again. Many say there's not enough gold and silver. Well, they're taking all the people in the world into account. And in reality, you got places like China that through socialism, they don't want they don't want a fair system. They'll never have a fair system, and they'll have CDBCs. You'll take the rest of the West, you know, all of Europe, and it's run by globalists, and globalists don't want a fair system. Uh, so you'll see that continue to, they'll go to a CDBC as well until, you know, maybe they bring the guillotines back out or they bring the hangman noose back out. Maybe a few hundred politicians get hung or decapitated. Maybe then they can get to a new system. The thing to know about that is, though, much like, and I've thought about this before, my relatives, quite a few of them immigrated here in the early 1900s. And if you think about that, how bad would things have to suck in your country without there being war? And at the time, there wasn't any war. How bad would things in your country have to suck for you to sell everything, travel with only the clothes on your back and whatever money you could get out of the things you could sell? And you know they didn't have very much to come to the promised land, if you will. Um, it had to suck pretty bad. And what you're going to see in Europe coming, if it's not already here, what you're going to see in Europe is going to suck pretty bad. And the wealth is already escaping. The wealthiest are already escaping from Europe, making it even more difficult for their system to work. And more of the burden will be put on the citizen till the citizen just can't handle it anymore. And most citizens are either going to pack their shit and leave. Where are they going to go? They're going to go to somewhere that has law and order and a fair way to do commerce. You know, so many are skeptical that the U.S. can grow out of this. Well, Donald Trump don't have to reinvent the wheel. We've got all the laws we need, the law being the Constitution and all the shit and bureaucracy that they've developed over the last 250 years needs to go. And that's what he's working on. He's downsizing the government. Through this government shutdown, I believe, you'll see a lot of government employees, the non essentials, if you will never be brought back. That'll save trillions of dollars, trillions of dollars. It'll also, those people that were in the government system that were producing either nothing or next to nothing, in fact, some of them are probably a drain on the system, that'll put them back in the workforce. They'll have to go to work. Where they're qualified, I'm not sure. Maybe they need to be retrained, whatever. But honestly, when they sold us out years ago in the 70s and they put all our manufacturing overseas, nobody gave a damn about the auto worker or the steel mill worker or the textile industry worker or the furniture manufacturer worker. They didn't give a damn about them. And they sold all them jobs or pushed them over to countries where they could make more money through slave labor. Well, honestly, I don't give a shit about the bureaucrats. If they all find themselves unemployed, so be it. Let them find a job. Let them work it out. Let them be the working class, or let them be the new generation that needs to find employment. And let's see what that looks like at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, for this country to grow, that's going to be hard work. That's going to be labor. That's going to be using your head to build something other than a useless spreadsheet that'll never anybody will ever use, or to research some retarded, wanting to know the lifespan of or the yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. You get to my idea. Some stupid research they've been doing. I mean, research is research. Some of it's good. Some of it's totally ignorant. It doesn't make a light bit of sense. But a lot of them research programs are just developed to siphon money off and put into the bureaucracy. Much like in Michigan here during under Gretchen Wetchmer, our state Senate, they went to the Senate and they asked for X amount of dollars. They needed to hire, let's say, another 4,300 employees to do all the things that need to be done in the Michigan state government. The Senate passed it to give them the money to do it, but yet they never hired the 4,300 people. They rat-holed it in different accounts so that when they needed to fund something stupid that the Senate wouldn't pass, they just took money from them accounts. The Republicans exposed $5 billion worth of, $5 billion that they've stolen from U.S. taxpayers, stolen and putting into all their little accounts, of which damn well a lot of it's paying off people that all kinds of sideways bullshit that ain't legal. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. But getting back to the topic today, we need honest money, and the only honest money is a gold and silver standard or a bimetallic system. It will work no matter what the naysayers say, because so much of the world will not go on a bimetallic system because they want to be able to defraud their populace. They don't want an honest system. And with us having an honest system, many people will flee their countries. Many very smart people will flee their countries and come to this country and help build our society back to what it was. So many say that we've lost so much over the last 30 or 40 years that we'll never be able to come back. Well, I think that's very untrue. We got here because of our spirit. We'll get here again. We'll get back to the right things through our spirit of U.S. citizens, and that means different things to different people. But we will make America great again. And actually, to find out the days that where America was great, you actually got to go back to the 1800s. All through the 1900s, we were fleeced. all into the 2000s. We've been fleeced, and the fleecing is coming harder and harder all the time, mostly because the end of the fake fiat system is on its way. Um, Gold and silver is the only money, the only real money. It's God's money, and everything else is debt. Debt is slavery. If you don't support slavery, your own slavery and the slavery of your kids and your grandkids, then you must adopt gold and silver. And if you don't understand that, you need to look a lot harder. A lot of these folks I've been watching lately that are talking about, well, the stock market just keeps going up. It keeps going up. You know, we got to stay in. We got to keep our clients in. We don't want to miss all that upside. Well, the fact of the matter is they're measuring the stock market in dollars. Well, when the dollar is going down, it makes the stock market look higher. It just costs more dollars to buy the same amount of stocks. That's all. Hey, the stock market isn't better. It's stagnant at best. In fact, if you measure, if your numerator, instead of being the dollar, your numerator was gold, and you measure your wealth in gold, you'll see that if you've been stacking gold for a while, even just a couple years, everything's getting cheaper. My gold that I bought back in 2023 per ounce is gone from just under $2,000 to $4,000 right now. It was up to $4,300, but that's neither here nor there. That doesn't really matter. Again, that's just part of the market, part of the cycle, if you will. There's a little hanky-panky going on there. But the big thing is the world is going to, at the very least, the world is your collateral is going to be gold instead of fake fiat-based currencies. So with that being said, gold is going to continue to go up. Silver will go up because silver is the money of the people, and it's what the people can afford. It's always been that way. Silver has been highly manipulated over the years, obviously, so is gold, but silver really so. Where silver's coming out of the ground of roughly, I've heard a few different numbers, but mostly 7-to-1 coming out of the ground. For every ounce of silver that comes out of the ground, 1 ounce of gold comes out of the ground. And our ratio is hovering around 80-to-1 right now, 82, 83, 84, back to 79, whatever, doesn't matter. Somewhere in that 79 to 82 range. If that's not Fugazi, nothing is. But they must, to keep the normies, if you will, the consumer in the fake fiat system, they still must control silver as much as they can. The more silver goes up, the more the curtain goes up, and the more you see what the inside and what's going on behind the curtain. So that silver's very revealing. Gold's revealing, but silver's revealing on the consumer level. Most people think that they're priced out of the gold anyway, so they're not really, a lot of people aren't even looking at gold. They're looking at silver because they know they can't afford gold. Only the microscopic amounts of gold is all they could afford. And at that point, the premiums are so high, it's like, what the hell's it? There's no sense. So they're looking at gold. And again, I want to come back around to, we need a bi-metallic system, much like the 1792 Coinage Act, where any fraud is punishable by death, any fraud. And that's all we've been living under since the 1873 Coinage Act. It's all, ever since then, it's all been fraud. Every bit of it was fraud. So we need to, like I said, we can't just be satisfied with a gold standard. We must have a gold and bimetallic system where gold and silver at a certain ratio, whatever that is. I don't think the the 15 to 1 or the 16 to 1 would work today because of the dynamics of the way silver and gold come out of the ground compared to what it was years ago. If the true ratio is 7 to 1 coming out of the ground, maybe we need to be somewhere around 10 to 1, and be able to pay our taxes and our debt in silver and not just gold. Have the choice of doing either and or both. You can use gold to pay your taxes and your debt, and you can use silver to pay your taxes and pay your debt. At any rate, that's what I got for today. Been thinking about this quite a bit on the weekend while I was getting all my other shit done for the weekend, and I think it came together pretty well for me. I appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe, and definitely before you click out of this video, just hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. If you've been watching my stuff and watching my programs here, and you like what I'm saying, I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe, hit the bell button, bell notification button so you're notified, and then of course share with other people that you feel need to hear what we're talking about here. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.